List out the causes for corruption. And we saw a few examples of corruption cases in India, correct? So can you list out the reason for corruption in India? Why India is so corrupt? Huh? Greed is one. Okay, then apart from this, what will be the other reasons for corruption in India? Any other reasons for corruption in India? Yeah, your viewpoint. Why India is so corrupt? One is greed is one. Apart from greed, any other factors resulting in corruption? Poor administration. Okay, then okay. People want to get things as early as possible. Okay. Greed of money, illiteracy. Okay. Delayed justice. Okay. No, not digitalized. Okay. Any other factors apart from this? Why India is so corrupt? The reason for corruption in India. Or we put it in different aspects. Why civil servant is corrupt? Political pressure. Okay. You are all good. Only politicians are bad. Correct? Okay. Then any other reasons? So no fear of getting caught. Okay, that's correct. British legacy, that's great. Okay. Lack of proper vigilance is okay. Then constitutional protection, great. Political and bureaucracy relation. Okay, political bureaucracy nexus is there. Okay. Then any other factors why in India corruption is very high? Too much power. Okay, that is another reason, correct? Too much of power in hands. Okay, that is one. Okay, then any other factors apart from this? So any other factors for corruption? So you'll see some of the reasons why we have corruption. First one is red tapeism. First one is red tapeism. That is too much of rules and regulations. Too much of rules and regulations. And what happens is because of this, there's a term called speed money. What is speed money means? Okay, if you want to get the work done very fast, you give the money. Especially we can see that in government a lot. When you go for government departments, if any work need to be done, if you give the extra money, the work will be very fast, correct? Or another way of saying this is, I think you watched the movie Indian, correct? So Indian, you know that Sendil is a character, works in RTO office. And whenever counter money comes and gives the file, what that character will always do is, opens the file and he checks whether there's money inside it or not. So when there is no money, what the comment he'll always says is, not lack of documents, he says that Mukkimana paper, correct? The important paper is not here. That's called speed money. Please understand, in governments, we can see this a lot. Whenever you want to quicken the process, because of there's too much rules and regulations, that need to be avoided. Okay. So speed money is one important aspect. Red tapeism. Second one is ineffective judicial system. Ineffective judicial system. And we know that in judiciary it takes longer time to finish off a case, correct? So ultimately what happens, this becomes an incentive for people involved in corruption. What that incentive is? They know that even if they are being arrested, in judiciary it takes around 15 years to 20 years to finish off a case. So there will be no impact in their personal life. So that is one. So ineffective judicial system. Third one is so lack of transparency and accountability. So lack of transparency and accountability. So to understand what is lack of transparency and accountability is, we can relate with judicial appointment process, correct? Is that in India, we know that on what basis people are being appointed as a judge? Literally no, correct? But a lot of IB reports are there. IB reports saying that few judges are involving in corruption. But nothing is stopping them, correct? And if you ask the collegiate system why you are recommending the name, they will not give the reasons. And there is no transparency on what criteria people are being selected. We ask them, they say that it's based on judicial merit, but a lot of allegations are against those persons also, correct? Can you list out some of the allegations against our judges? Huh? Most of them, one family in judiciary. Okay, Chandachud is one. Okay, then. Any allegations recent regarding this judicial aspect? Is audio video clear for everyone? Audio video clear for everyone? Okay. Please check on your side. Someone has put there is some problem. Check on your side. I don't know how many of you know this issue. Recently means the previous Chief Justice of India was got into a sexual harassment issue. Is that you know it? Right now, who is the Rajya Sabha MP? Correct? So, a lot of issues are there in judiciary. Lack of transparency and accountability results in corruption. Okay. And fourth one is British legacy. Fourth one is British legacy. So, to understand British legacy, so when Britishers came to India, initially who are Britishers? Traders, correct? By 1700s, they became a rulers. How that is possible for Britishers? 1600, they formed the East India Company. I think until 1770, they were traders. After that, they began to emerge as a rulers. How they are able to do that? Reason is how they became able to become a ruler is no unity among ourselves. Please understand that is one aspect. One is they have the military power. Apart from military power, one of the major reason for Britishers to emerge as a ruler is corruption, correct? If you go and check the battles of British, most of the time what Britishers always try to do is, so before starting the war itself, everyone knows who's the winner. How Britishers are able to do it? They always bribe the local officials, correct? Another way of saying this is, right now you doesn't need to go and submit anything in the IT departments. It's a faceless one. So influence is minimizing a lot. Okay. Ready, Acha? Okay, is it okay right now? Audio, video. So these are some of the reasons, correct? Cultural factors such as instant reward and gifting. So that has a reason for corruption. And next thing is types of corruption. So next thing is types of corruption. So one is coercive corruption. So 8 point is cultural factors such as instant reward and gifting. Instant reward and gifting. That results in corruption. That's correct. Last point was gifting only. Next thing is coercive corruption. So what does the term coercive means? What does the term coercive means? English term coercive, very basic one. By force, correct? What is coercive corruption means? Corruption by means of force, intimidation, threatening by civil servants. Example, India before 1991 was called License Raj. Source for coercive corruption. Next thing is collusive corruption. A win-win situation. Collusive corruption means a win-win situation where civil servants, politician or political class, civil servants, comma, political class, comma, business class, benefits under this corruption. Benefits under this corruption. So is that you believe that coercive corruption still exists? Coercive corruption. Civil servant threatening us and getting the money. Is that possible in our modern era, 2021? Any chances like that? Very rare. And please understand, still we can see this coercive corruption. Where we can see that thing is, not only village level, take the example of constables, traffic constables, correct? So what they always try to do is, they always threaten you, correct? For example, if you don't have any license or any papers in your two-wheeler, what will be the cost of that thing is? They start with 2,000 rupees, correct? You don't have any paper, it's like a theft vehicle, correct? Ultimately, what is the money you can pay for that? What the money you can pay for the thing is? Okay, 500, sometimes 100. Okay, even if that reaches to the level of 50 rupees, 0 rupees. Once you reach to that level, please understand, put IFS as your first option. From 100 rupees, you are reaching to 50 or 20 rupees and all, please put IFS, because you have such a diplomat. You are able to convince the police constable that I don't have the money, right? So coercive corruption is one such thing, and collusive corruption. In modern day era, in Indian civil services, you can see that collusive corruption is most rampant. All modern day corruption, you can see that. Okay. What is collusive corruption? Is by means of force, intimidation, threatening. By means of force, intimidation and threatening. By force, intimidation, threatening by civil servants. Next one is consequences. Next one is consequences. Consequences. So Canadians say, what will be the impact of corruption? If a society have high level of corruption, what will be the impact? Simple thing, you think about India. What is the impact in India because of corruption? Image of civil servants. Apart from image, practical problems because of corruption. Practical issues. Poor services. Then any other thing apart from the low development. Okay, that's correct. Inequality. That's correct. Then any other thing apart from this? Just use your common sense. What happens to a system if society have high level of corruption? Huh? Free? Okay, treatment level. In government systems, you can see that people are treated in different aspects. Okay, that is one. Okay, then black money. Very valid point, black money. Then any other thing? Tax will not be there. Right on the first point, consequences. First one is emergence of black money. Emergence of black money in the economy. Black money in the economy. Why it is called as black money means? Why it is called as black money? Please, why it is called as black money is not part of government sources, correct? Government doesn't have a control over it, and it's unaccounted money that is called as black money. And most of the time, assume that a civil servant is involving in corruption, he can't take it to the government, correct? So he can't put it in a bank, all those things. So ultimately that results in black money. So what the outcome of black money is? Read on second point. Emergence of parallel economy. Emergence of parallel economy resulting in antisocial activities. Resulting in antisocial activities such as trafficking, smuggling, etc. Third, poor quality of public services, poor quality of public services. To understand what is poor quality of public services is during rainy times, can you say which infrastructure is always in bad shape? You can see that road networks. If you ask any road contractor why a road is like this, what will be the reply given by a road contractor is? If you ask any road contractor why road is always bad, especially after rains, what will be the reply he always says is? Because he says that whenever you want to get a contract from the government, we need to pay officials. And where they can make the profit is, because they are losing the profit by giving corruption, correct? So where they can make the profit is, mostly they'll focus on poor quality of raw materials. Then only they can make the profit. So they always says that because we need to give some money, so if you want to make a profit, we need to compromise on the quality aspects. So poor quality of public services. Fourth one is lack of public trust. So lack of public trust regarding governance and democracy. To understand this lack of public trust, right now Tamil Nadu is going for election, correct? If you ask any common man which party you are going to vote, what will be the next reply he always says is, okay, which party gives more money? Okay. Apart from this, he always says that whoever we put vote, ultimately that results in corruption only, correct? So no one believes the government, correct? So lack of public trust. Okay. Or another way of saying this is what is happening in Maharashtra, Mumbai. Anyone gone through the news article? Mumbai commissioner who was thrown out of the job recently came into issue. Anyone gone through that news article? Where the Home Minister of Maharashtra demanded every month 100 crores from Mumbai commissioner. And he said that go and collect all the money from the hotels and bars in Mumbai, and every month I need 100 crores, correct? So this all nothing but results in corruption and black money, correct? And people never believe the government hereafter. Okay. So lack of public trust. Next one is lack of trust among global investors. Lack of trust among global investors. Because when you take investments, it's not that India is getting money from within India, correct? So what government is trying to always do is attract money from global players. And one of the major criteria how they invest the money is, right now if you are, assume that you are a US citizen, correct? You want to invest the money in India. What are criteria you check for it? One is there political stability is there, correct? Law and order situation is there. And ultimately what the next thing you always think is where corruption is less or not. Because you know that once the corruption is involved, you are compromising on merit aspect, correct? So lack of trust among global investor. That's another biggest consequences of corruption. Okay. The next one is second ARC. Next one is second ARC. And corruption. So second administrative reforms studied about corruption in India. You know? Second ARC and corruption. Second ARC identified the following ways to eliminate corruption. First one, legal framework. So first one is a legal framework. Second one, institutional framework. Third one, social infrastructure. Fourth one, social infrastructure. Fourth one, systematic reforms. Fourth one, systematic reforms. So these are the 4 ways of controlling corruption as per second ARC. So in that, first one is legal framework. So first one is legal framework. So legal framework. So can anyone say which law in India is to control corruption? Anyone came through that law? Anyone have an idea which law is used for controlling corruption in India? So right now we have, right on, Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. So recent amendments are there. So Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. So write down the issues in it. Issues or challenges in this law. Prevention of Corruption Act. Issues or challenges. First point is any government officials. First point, any government officials can be investigated. Can be investigated for corruption charges. Corruption charges only based on corruption charges only based on government authorization. Only based on government authorization. So my question is, what type of corruption in India right now which dominates? Coercive or collusive corruption? Collusive corruption. In collusive corruption, everyone is benefiting. So what are the chances of giving permission? Just use your common sense. Right now, civil servant is benefiting, politician is benefiting, correct? And right now what this law says is, if you want to investigate any government servants, government need to authorize. Government means here it's nothing but political class like ministers. So what happens here? Because in collusive corruption, everyone is benefited. So ultimately what they'll do is, they will not give the permission for investigation. So that's the biggest problem. Right? Second one is, second issue, the head of the department need to act as witness for corruption charges. Act as witness for corruption charges. So the issue is, when you take head of the department means secretaries. So what would be the age of a secretary? If you want to reach the position of a secretary, what would be your ages? Approximate. Very close to your retirement, correct? You'll be very 55, 56. My question is, what is the time taken to finish off a case in India? 10 years is minimum, but it takes around 15 to 20 years, correct? So right now you initiate a corruption case. The law says that head of the department need to act as a witness. Assume that you start the case right now, 2021. When you can expect the judgment is? By 2026 or 27, correct? So 36 or 37. That time there'll be a new secretary who never understand the case. Can I understand the point? So these are some of the issues. Right on the second ARC recommendations for this. Second ARC recommendation. Second ARC recommendation. First point is to have empowered committee comprising cabinet secretary, chief vigilance commissioner, cabinet secretary, chief vigilance commissioner, to authorize investigation for corruption cases against civil servant. Second, to scrap or delete the provisions, to scrap or delete the provisions requiring head of the department to act as witness. And second legal framework is liability of corrupt officials. Liability of corrupt officials. My basic question is, assume that I'm a civil servant, as either can be a sub-collector or collector. If I am involving in corruption, what is the maximum punishment given to me? If I am involving in corruption, maximum punishment instantly. Keep in mind, it takes 15 to 20 years to finish off a case, correct? So what is the maximum punishment instantly given to me is, please understand, I'll be suspended. And I know that it takes around 15 to 20 years to finish off a case. And what is the judicial philosophy in India? What is judicial philosophy in India? Is that until you are being proven, you are considered to be innocent, correct? So law is on my advantage, legal procedure is on my advantage. So ultimately what happens is, civil servants go and involve in corruption. They know that nothing will happen to them. At the maximum, what can happen is suspension, correct? An interesting story is there. So what is first and second point in ARC recommendations? Okay, I'll repeat the first point. I'll go for the previous recommendation. I'll repeat the first point. To establish empowered committee comprising cabinet secretary and chief vigilant commissioner to authorize investigation for corruption cases, against civil servants. Next point, second, to scrap or delete the provision requiring head of department to act as witness. Okay. So an interesting thing happened in India. So can anyone say what is the maximum value a civil servant can corrupt in India based on your reading? Any idea? Right now in India, what is the maximum value of a corruption of a civil servant? If you want to put some numbers, 10 crore, 15 crore, similar to that, what would be the maximum value you think? You can make an intelligent guess. Okay. 300 crores. Okay. Then apart from this, please understand, in India, there was one case, 400 crore. And what they call it as IAS couple. Okay. They belong to Madhya Pradesh cadre. They was in the position of principal secretary. Principal secretary means very close to chief secretary. Okay. Below chief secretary, they were called as principal secretary. Both husband and wife, they corrupted to the value of 400 crores. My question is, the maximum punishment is suspension. And if you are very close to chief secretary or principal secretary means you will be very close to retirement, correct? For example, 56. And what is the time taken to finish off a case in India? 20 years, correct? 76, they'll finish off the case. What will happen at the age of 76 for these two guys? Either they'll be dead, correct? Family will be very happy, correct? 400 crores, nothing happened. 20 years, they are dead, correct? Even if you take a situation, if they are alive, if you are a lawyer, what will be your argument for that? You are representing these two couples. What will be your argument even if they are alive? So what you will say to the court is, please my lord, I accept my client has done the wrong thing. Before giving judgment, take age into consideration, correct? So ultimately what happens? You got around 400 crores, okay. Judgment took 20 years. That 20 years you are very happy, correct? You are in suspension. Please understand, you are not being dismissed. You will give half, I think you get a half a salary or something. You doesn't need to go for office. You got 400 crores with you. Okay. Within that 20 years, you may be dead. Case will be closed. Even if you are alive, maximum punishment be 3 years, 4 years, correct? Because of age factor. All these are advantage for civil servants. Retirement benefits, what? That will not be given. retirement benefits இருக்குமான்னு கேக்குறீங்களா? 400 crores is retirement benefit, correct? Okay. Okay, for working for Indian civil service for 30 years, 400 crores is retirement benefit. Only problem is the government is not accepting the benefit. Okay. So you can see that how the laws in India is very advantage for civil servants, correct? What is liability of corrupt officials means? Write down. If any civil servant involves in corruption, resulting in loss of revenue, trust in government, they need to be held liable. They need to be held liable. During investigation, the movable, immovable properties, bank accounts, need to be frozen. Bank accounts need to be frozen. This acts as negative incentive. For corruption. What first point you want? Liability of corrupt official or Prevention of Corruption Act? Okay, in liability. What is the point I said is starting words? Okay, if any civil servants involved in corruption resulting in loss of revenue or trust in government, need to be held liable. So next one is third one. Serious economic offense. So can anyone say what this serious economic offense means? Economic offenses. Very basic one, serious economic offenses. So what are serious economic offenses? Can you list out some of those offenses? Use your common sense, that's it. Serious economic offenses means what are those things? A lot of things are there in India, correct? Okay, Malaya is a good example, correct? What Malaya's reason for? Please understand, he is responsible for banking fraud, correct? Nirav Modi, another good example. Then apart from this, what are other economic offenses? Money laundering is one. Any other thing? Tax evasion is one. Okay, then chit fund scam, that's great. Okay, money laundering, tax evasion. Then any other thing apart from this? Offshore assets, correct? Okay, what we call as shell companies, that is another one, correct? So another way of understanding this is, right now there's a Tamil movie, correct? You know this Saduranga Vete? That's a good example of all economic offenses, correct? All innovative offenses. Okay, so please understand, even in Tamil Nadu that's being done. We are not aware, but a lot of people are in that type of offenses, correct? Fooling people. One good example is this emu bird, you know. What is the money involved in it? Economic offense, emu bird. I think 5-6 years before or 10 years before. Okay, can anyone say what was the money spent out of this particular emu bird? That was once famous in Tamil Nadu, correct? What you want to do is you need to approach the company, give them 1 lakh rupees. They'll give 2 birds to you. Only thing is the birds are very huge. And you doesn't know why you're buying this bird. You need to feed them, they lay an egg. What is the cost of that egg is? I don't know. Okay, I don't know how many of you know this, 1,500 or something. People doesn't know why they're buying the bird. 400 crores was the money spent out of this particular economic offense. And later what happened is, once they found out that it's all fraud, ultimately what happened is, all these birds were thrown open and running in areas, correct, and that being taken by the government. It was killing each other also. Okay. So another serious economic offense includes money laundering, tax evasion, chit fund scams, tax evasion, chit fund scams, fake currencies, etc. When you say fake currencies means which strike your mind? Fake currencies means which part of India strikes your mind? Fake currencies means. So what is the source of fake currency in India? From where it enters where? Any idea of fake currencies? Please understand, one of the major source of fake currency is through Nepal and Bangladesh. And who is responsible for these fake currencies? Who is responsible for fake currencies? Any idea? Please understand that is being printed by Pakistan. Can anyone say why Pakistan is printing Indian currency rather than they print their own currency, correct? Why they are printing their Indian currency? Please understand, if you want to destabilize a country, it's not only by military means, you can also do it by economy, correct? Fake currency is one important source. Can you say in Tamil Nadu, which districts are very known for fake currencies? Once it was very known. Any idea? There are two districts very famous for fake currencies, or two places. One is Sivakasi, another is Coimbatore. These two places are known for fake currencies. Okay. The next one is? That's correct. Okay, the next one is? To establish serious economic offense office. To establish serious economic offense office with expertise. Serious economic offense office with expertise in the field of IT, accountancy, investigation, law, forensic audit, etc. Forensic audit, etc. To understand what this forensic audit is, so can you say in a family, or right now you're preparing for civil services, correct? You get money from your father or mother, correct? Who's a auditor in your family? Mother, correct? What this forensic audit means? The way of expenditure, they can judge you what you're doing, correct? Assume that they give your card to you, correct? They give the ATM card. What the smartest parents always does is, they give the card to you, but what the smartest parents always does is, okay, what happened is the phone numbers will be theirs, correct? So ultimately what happens, Friday evening you scratch a card, 1,000 rupees. What the next question the mother will ask is, okay, where are you, correct? Come in video call, okay? So she knows that what you do, correct? Probably you went for movies or spending time with your friends. And if they have a suspicion that you have a girlfriend or boyfriend, they know really well, correct? They'll ask, okay, come in video call. If you're not doing, then comes the problem, correct? So forensic audit is such mechanism. So all this expertise need to be there for finding the serious economic offense. Okay, the next point is to establish supervisory committee. Establish supervisory committee comprising cabinet secretary to monitor the performance of Serious Economic Offence Office. You can write SEOO. Serious, monitor the performance of Serious Economic Offence Office. Second point, next point. SEOO, Serious Economic Offence Office. Next point, SEOO. Need to be authorized. Need to be authorized to entertain cases. Entertain cases under suo motu. Cases under suo motu. So can anyone say what is suo motu means? What the term suo motu means? On their own, correct? Right now if you take judiciary, you need to file a case. But suo motu means by on their own they can entertain a case. That should be empowered for Serious Economic Offence Office. Next one is speeding up trials. Next one. To establish supervisory committee comprising cabinet secretary to monitor the performance of Serious Economic Offence Office. Monitor the performance of Serious Economic Offence Office. And next, speeding up trials. Fourth one, speeding up trials. So very basic question is, you know that judiciary is not effective. So what need to be done in judiciary dimension is, it takes 15-20 years to finish off a case. If you want to reduce the time, what need to be done? Very logical one. Judges appointment is okay. Special tribunals. Then apart from this, that's a correct point. Judicial staffs. Vacancy, that's judges appointment, correct? Another point for speeding up trials. To establish fast track courts. Establish fast track courts for corruption cases. Fast track courts for corruption cases. Next point. To have day-to-day proceedings. To have day-to-day proceedings for corruption cases. For corruption cases. To provide speedy justice. Right? Speedy justice. Next one. Constitutional amendment. Next one is constitutional amendment. So can anyone say Article 105, where it is related? Article number is not important. If you are not knowing, no issues. Anyone have an idea where Article 105 is related? Which area? Supreme Court, High Court, Parliament, State Legislative Assembly, anywhere, any idea? Please understand, Article 105 is related to parliamentary privileges. Related to parliamentary privileges. To understand what this parliamentary privileges means, my question is that MPs and MLAs involved in corruption? Do you believe it? If you are a minister, you can involve in corruption. But as an MP, MLA, how they involve in corruption? What is source for corruption for them? What recommendation? So how an MP or MLA can involve in corruption? My logical question. If you are a minister, you can do it because you need to spend money on the schemes and programs. Chance of corruption is high. But if you are MP or MLA, there are two sources for corruption for MPs or MLAs. One is cash for vote. What is cash for vote means? For example, if there is any no confidence motion. To understand, great example is Tamil Nadu, correct? After death of Jayalalitha, well, all MLAs win. Okay, where all they went is death of Jayalalitha, correct? They went for Kuvattur, correct? What a reason for going for Kuvattur is there to go and sit and discuss about Tamil Nadu development. So ultimately, what happened there? What happened there? So they want to consolidate the party, correct? Can anyone say what was the money given to them? All rumors. We doesn't know true or false. But what is the money given to them? Any idea? Huh? It is said that for each MLA around 3 to 4 crores, I think maybe 5 crores given, and 1 kg of gold. So that's the money given to them, correct? So they doesn't want to move out of the party, correct? So cash for vote. The next thing is cash for question. What is cash for question means? If you find an MP and say to him, please raise this question, he'll ask some money with you, correct? So cash for question. This is a major source for corruption. But the point is, once you found out an MP is corrupt, what will happen to him? Can he be arrested? Any idea? Police cannot arrest him, correct? Ultimately, who's the deciding authority in corruption charges against MPs? It's always the speaker. So ultimately, what happened is disqualification. But for corruption, it never happened, correct? Suspension will be there. So MPs are very happy if they are involved in corruption because there is no punishment for them. So another point, what is constitutional amendment? Article 105. Article 105 need to be amended. Article 105 need to be amended to include that corrupt activities of MPs cannot be protected under parliamentary privileges. Cannot be protected under parliamentary privileges. The Prevention of Corruption Act. The Prevention of Corruption Act need to be applied. Prevention of Corruption Act need to be applied for corrupt activities of MPs. Corrupt activities of MPs. So right now it's 3:30. Okay, take 5 minutes break and we start the session. So in regarding Prevention of Corruption Act, whether you want second year's recommendation or issues in that? Second year's recommendation. So write down the pointers. Prevention of Corruption Act. To have empowered committee comprising cabinet secretary, chief vigilance commissioner, to authorize investigation against public servants for corruption charges. Second point, to delete provisions requiring head of department, you can write HOD, head of department, to act as witness. So I'll say what is collusive corruption? A win-win situation for civil servants, political class, and business class. And next we go for institutional framework. So institutional framework. So when you say institutional framework, so what are the institutions we have in India for controlling corruption? Very basic one. For example, investigation, which institution is responsible? ED is there. The primary institution for investigationers we can relate with CBI, correct? CBI is the premier institution. Similarly, you can also relate with ED. But here we are going to focus more on CBI. Okay. The next thing is we have CVC, Central Vigilance Commission, to control corruption. CVC, Central Vigilance Commission. And third one is Lokayukta. Fourth one is Lokpal. So these are some major institutions in India for controlling corruption. That is CBI, CVC, Lokayukta and Lokpal. So in this first one is CBI. So can you say what are problems in CBI? Why CBI is not effective? So can anyone say under which ministry CBI comes? Which ministry is controlling CBI? Is? Okay, Home Affairs, correct? That's wrong. Please understand that is being controlled by Ministry of Personnel, correct? Who heads the Ministry of Personnel? Who is heading Ministry of Personnel? Any idea? It is headed by the Prime Minister. So CBI works for the Prime Minister. So you can say that CBI once comes under DOPT. So Department of Personnel and Training, where CBI comes, correct? And you know that CBI is involved in investigating corruption charges, correct? What may be the best suitable thing for CBI? Whether it need to be under Prime Minister or it should be an independent body? It should be an independent body. But we can see that right now CBI works for DOPT, correct? Apart from this, another biggest aspect of CBI is, can anyone say what is the law for CBI? Anyone have an idea what is the law for CBI? Is there anyone came across in newspaper CBI Act? Anything like that? That's correct. Please understand right now for CBI there is no law. It comes under Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. So CBI doesn't have any separate law itself. Okay, Delhi Special Police Establishment Act. The next thing is lack of autonomy. So lack of autonomy. What does lack of autonomy means? Right now we know that the highest official in CBI is a director, CBI director. Point is whether he have a say in appointing the juniors. Please understand, he can't say anything in that. It's all decided by the government. And most of the time CBI appointment is considered to be a political appointment, correct? And another point is clash of personalities. Clash of personalities. I think 2 or 3 years before there was a tussle going on between CBI director and additional director. Is that you know what? I don't know how many of you gone through that news articles. Probably you are not interested in it. What happened is CBI director, CBI director and an additional director. CBI director is the highest one. Additional directors below him. They were not in good terms. Both have a personality clash. And what happened is both of them spied against each other. Can you understand the point? In his office, he has some equipments to monitor him. In his office, he has some equipments to monitor him. Ultimately, entire India was laughing during the time because there was a huge personality clash. So CBI was facing all those problems. And next thing is, CBI is also called as caged parrot. CBI is also called as caged parrot because they doesn't have any independence. They entirely depend upon the government. Even to understand this, what is the expansion of CBI? Central Bureau of Investigation. Once it was called as Congress Bureau of Investigation. So what you can understand here is, what will be the major focus of CBI investigation is? Congress Bureau of Investigation means they are more focused on political aspects, correct? Or even take a current example is when Prime Minister Modi was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. You know that there was one encounter, Irshad Jahan case. There was an encounter, fake encounter. During Congress time, when CBI was there, it tagged that as a fake encounter, and they found out that IPS officers and some ministers was involved in it to boost the image of the government. But once BJP come into power as a prime minister here, what happened to that case? It's not fake encounter. It's an encounter. They removed the fake, correct? They've said that people who are killed are real terrorists. They are responsible for everything. Please understand, CBI took the two opposite stand. Once a change in government. So what we can understand here is CBI is not an independent body. Highly influenced by the government. Okay. Next one, the CVC. The next, CVC's biggest problem is political appointments. CVC's biggest problem is political appointments. To understand political appointment, this happened in the time of Congress. Once P.J. Thomas was appointed as a Central Vigilance Commissioner. He was a Kerala cadre IAS officer. But while he was in Kerala, there was a corruption charge against him. So what the role of CVC is? What the role of CVC is? To control corruption. But who is appointed for heading CVC is? A person have a corruption charge, correct? Ethically wrong, practically good. Can you say why practically it's good? Ethically wrong, because he is already under corruption charges. How he can become a Chief Vigilance Commissioner? Ethically wrong, but practically good. Can you say why practically good? Because he knows all ways of corruption, correct? No one can fool him, correct? Okay, sometimes you can see in college days and all. There will be certain professors who are very smart. College days, correct? Take example, if you are submitting your records, he know that where you will make all the cheating works, correct? Why they are very smartest? Because they have done all the things, correct? Similarly, if you appoint P.J. Thomas, ethically wrong, practically good, correct? Next thing is Lokayukta. Please understand, Lokayukta and Lokpal is called as Ombudsman system. So these are the terms, you can use it in your answer writing. Ombudsman system or Citizen Grievance Redressal Mechanism or Citizens Grievance Redressal Mechanism. Ombudsman or Citizens Grievance Redressal Mechanism. And Lokayukta for state level and Lokpal for union level. State level Lokayukta, union level Lokpal. And we take Lokayukta. What is the biggest problem in Lokayukta? Basic question. Is that every state got Lokayukta? Can you say in Tamil Nadu whether we got Lokayukta or not? Please understand, we passed the law, but it's not being created, correct? So Lokayukta, few states are very good. Even if the leadership changes, that is being thrown out, correct? Once Karnataka Lokayukta was very powerful. Santosh Hegde. He was the Lokayukta during Karnataka. Once they were able to find out a lot of corruption charges. But once he left out the office, it begins to go down. And most of the states never have Lokayukta. Radhan, what is the problem in Lokayukta? First one is, most of the states does not have Lokayukta. So most of the states does not have Lokayukta. Second one, even if they have Lokayukta, that is ineffective. So ineffective. So most of the Lokayukta are ineffective. Citizen Grievance Redressal Mechanism. Citizen Grievance Redressal Mechanism. The next thing is, Lokpal exists only in papers, correct? Lokpal exists only in papers. Right now in India we passed the law. Is that Lokpal being established? Literally no, correct? Because in Lokpal, who's going to be getting into big trouble is? If we create a Lokpal, who's going to get into big trouble is? Because you can initiate a corruption charges and all. Who are the personalities can be get caught into it? Please understand. Government level ministers, not only minister, who's the highest personality can come under Lokpal is? Any idea? Even the prime minister can be under Lokpal. So they have only in papers, not being established. So all this institution seems to be ineffective, correct? So write down the points, second year's recommendations for all these issues, second year's recommendations. First point, to establish Lokpal with constitutional status. So what is the advantage of a constitutional status is? We create an office under constitution. What is the advantage in that? So why all important offices need to be under constitution? What is the advantage in that? For example, election commission, UPSC comes under constitution. What is the advantage of election commission or UPSC? They enjoy a greater autonomy. So Lokpal need to be a constitutional office. Right now we have created law by parliament. Okay, that's the first point. Second one, it should be mandatory. For all states to establish Lokayukta and to integrate with Lokpal. This ensures coordinated effort to minimize corruption in Indian Federation. Next one. Social infrastructure. Next one is social infrastructure. So when you say social infrastructure means what need to be done in a society to minimize corruption. So right now what we saw under legal framework, institutional framework on government side. Society side, what need to be done? If you create value system, what is the best source for creating a value system? That's correct. Value system is correct. How to create a value system in a society? What is the best source for it? Education. And the first one is value-based education system. To eliminate corruption. So what in our school days we have a class for it? Moral science, correct? Still we are able to remember the class. Can you say why? All other classes we forgot. Physics class, maths class, everything we forgot. Why moral science class still we are able to remember? So one important aspect is what are the advantage of a moral science classes? First most important thing, you doesn't need to write an exam. So we are very happy, correct? Second is, it's the only class based on stories, correct? We love all those things. So moral science class, that's nothing but value-based education. And second point is to create awareness about corruption, negative impacts of corruption, fundamental rights, legal rights. Legal rights. To understand that, can you say in which state of India people are well aware of their rights? Any idea? In which state people are well aware of their rights? Please understand, it's always in the state of Kerala, correct? If anyone want to have a life of a public servant, you need to go for Kerala, correct? Because you'll be treated like a servant. Okay. Don't assume that you'll be an officer there, because people is aware of all their rights. You can't fool the people. And once you say that by Wednesday you come, I'll get the work done. By sharp Wednesday, you need to finish off the work. Or else what happens there? Any idea? Or else what happens there? There'll be a protest in front of collector's office. And one role of a sub-collector in Kerala is going for court. Is that you know what? There are many sub-collectors. One sub-collector in Kerala always go for a court. Why he need to go for a court is because there'll be 1,000 cases against the district administration. Because people are well aware of it. They know what their rights is. You can't fool the people. Not only civil servants, even politicians. Even politicians cannot fool the people there, correct? To understand this, we have a branch in Trivandrum, and once we are visiting a local shop, and there was a local person of Trivandrum also coming with us. And once he came out of the shop, and he asked me to see a person. And he was looking like a normal guy buying some vegetables. And he said that this is the local MLA. Local MLA standing in a shop and buying vegetables, correct? What about Tamil Nadu? Any chance of meeting a local MLA? Literally no, correct? So local MLAs and ministers are like gods, correct? Whenever they come, we can see them. Like Tirupati temple. You need to wait for the entire 2 days, 3 days. You can meet for 10 seconds or 15 seconds, correct? But Kerala is very different. Even he narrated an interesting story. And we know that election times, correct? Right now elections are going on. So you are standing in a queue. If a minister comes, current sitting minister comes, most of the time what happens here? What happens here? You are in a constituency where he is being the minister right now in the government, state government. What he always does? Either he stand in the line, or what the next thing the minister always does? He just jumps the queue, directly go for the voting booth, and he put a vote and come back, correct? He narrated incident in Kerala. What happened is, while they were standing in a queue, the minister was jumping the queue. Suddenly a person said, please wait, go and stand in a queue. Soon he said, I am a minister. For that person said, right now, I am going to vote for you. If you are not standing in a queue, I'll vote for another person. So what happens? What will the minister do? Whether ego is important or vote is important. Vote is important, correct? He just went back and stand in a queue, correct? That's the level of people awareness. Okay. They'll make you to work. Even they say that if you are a district collector or SP and all, even the driver works for official hours. Or the driver works for official hours is 9 to 5, 10 to 5, correct? And for a personal trip, you can't use him. We always assume that rest of other India, you can see that once a driver means he'll be driver for everything, correct? Buying vegetables, picking up the relatives, dropping the relatives, going for movies, all this happens, correct? And one of our friends, after finishing of the mains, they went to meet another friend who was a sub-collector there. What the normal sense is, they thought that there'll be a car with a siren and okay, a friend will send some driver to pick him up. Friend was standing there. Sub-collector was standing there. And they asked, what happened to your car and driver? He said, by evening 5, they come and give the keys to me. And they asked, sir, is there any official duty? Note it down. Is there any official duty, sir? If you said yes, they'll wait. If there is no such thing, he just dropped the key and says, sir, by morning 9, I'll be there. Can understand the point? But right now in Tamil Nadu, what happens? For everything, they use the driver and people working in the constable. For example, if you're an IPS, you can see that there'll be a constable attached to your home, correct? He'll be doing everything. What is doing everything is, you're trained as a constable, but you can see that they are taking the kids to the school, correct? The worst thing is taking the dog to the nature's call, correct? Okay, buying vegetables, all this happens. So what the point is, Kerala is very well aware of it. And corruption still happens there, but still you can see that people are know how to get their rights back, and they demand with the government a lot. Okay. Next one is, I'll repeat the point. To create awareness about corruption, negative impact of corruption, fundamental rights and legal rights. Okay. Next, third one is to have social innovations. To have social innovations such as ₹0 note. Social innovations such as ₹0 note, comma, citizen report cards to minimize corruption. Example. In Bangalore, citizen report card. In Bangalore, citizen report card were prepared to find the efficient department, comma, corrupt department, efficient department, comma, corrupt department in Bangalore Municipal Corporation. So what about report cards in our life? School days, we are able to remember report card, right? Which color should not be there in report card? Red color, correct? And is that, the report card determines the personality. Assume that you are getting a report card today and there are 2 red lines in it, correct? If you want to be a good son or daughter, when you want to show the report card? Today you got the report card, when you want to show the report card? Once you go to the home, you need to show the report card and there are 2 red lines in it, correct? And what the worst part is? If you have a sibling, correct? Who studies good, max you got 15 marks out of 100 and your sibling got 95, 99, 100, correct? So what happens to you? Correct? And ultimately you know that after that everything is a comparison, correct? Even at the same night you are sitting for a dinner and your mother cooks food, and if you say that I need extra dosa, chapati, what will be the next thing the mother says is, okay, 100 mark vaangna, avale kammiyada saapparra, correct? Okay, 100 marks she scored, she is eating only 2 chapati, why you are demanding 4 chapati, correct? Like that every comparison will be there. Right from that, entire life will be based on comparison, correct? Second one is diplomatic. So diplomatic means if you want to be a very good diplomat, what the best time to show the report card is? Good son or daughter, you show it on the evening. If you want to be a good diplomat, what is the best time to show the report card? That's in the morning, correct? By morning 8:30, when everyone is busy in the family, you show the report card. Even father will not check what is there, correct? He sees the 2 red line. He put a signature and say that by evening I will come and see you, correct? But most of the time they forget it, correct? So you will be also very smart, and by evening you do all the stuffs, they forget everything, correct? That's a third personality, politician. Who's a politician among us? Correct? Okay, who get the report card, go out of the class, put the signature and give it to the staff, correct? Even parents doesn't know there's a report card, correct? After 3 months, 4 months, when they're discussing with other family, then only they have a strike, okay, there's a report card in schools. Once they come and check the report card, what happened is, there'll be a perfect signature of the father or mother, correct? And they always say that we should be very cautious. Okay, please check whether properties are in our names or not. Okay, so report cards determines the personality. So next one is this is regarding social infrastructure. Next thing is systematic reforms. What is systematic reforms means? You can see that there are certain things changed in our system, especially in our administration system. So can you identify what are those changes to minimize corruption? Very basic one. So what are things done to minimize corruption? E-governance. First one is use of ICT technology. Use of ICT technology to provide public services, resulting in elimination of corruption. So when you take ICT technology, to understand this, right now we have e-passport, correct? Once you apply in electronic format, what government says is on this particular day, you need to go for the passport kendra and show your certificates, all those things. But can you say in the previous times, how to get the passport? Any idea? Anyone have an idea how to get the passport? If you take example, your father, mother got a passport, how they got it? Please understand, in that times, in every district office, collector's office, there will be a passport office. You need to go there, fill the application, and you need to give it there, then process starts. But the point is, once you get the application and fill with your own handwriting, your application will be rejected. First application you give it, they give some reasons, go and buy a new application. Third application, fourth application, then only you know that problem is not application. Then you need to know that, so okay, there is some other issue. Once you go and check that, what happened is, in all the passports offices attached to district collector's office, there will be 4 to 5 persons sitting in front of passport office. What they will do is, once you have an application, go and give it to them. They will fill for you. And what the clerk will do is, once you see that handwriting, even without any checking, put that and say that application is accepted. And for them, you need to give 30 rupees or 40 rupees or 50 rupees. So ultimately what happens, this 40, 50, there will be a certain percentage goes to the clerks. So corruption starts from there. But right now what happened under e-passport is, just within your home you can fill it, and government gives you a particular date, you can come and approach them, correct? Can you say which private institution is part of this passport kendra? Any idea? If you go for passport kendra, which private institution is working in a PPP model, public-private partnership model? Any idea? TCS. Right now if you go and see the people or are TCS employees. Okay. That is the reason why it's very efficient, correct? Once you go there, within a few minutes, the work is being done. Okay. The next one is, that is first one, that is use of technology. Next one is use of private players, to provide public services, use of private players to provide public services, resulting in elimination of corruption. So to understand this, my basic question is, so can anyone say what is the time taken to get a mobile number right now in India? Right now you want to get a mobile number. What is the time taken in India right now? 5 minutes, correct? You need to have an Aadhaar, you can get the Geo number within 5 minutes. Before 1991, who was the telecom provider in India? BSNL. So can anyone say what is the time taken to get a telephone number before 1991? Any guess? Right now it's 5 minutes. 15 days. Any numbers apart from this? One is 15 days. 6 months. Okay, then any other numbers? Approximate. Right now 5 minutes. BSNL before 1991 takes 6 months, 15 days. Any idea? Please understand, during that time you need to wait for 8 years. You need to wait for 8 years to get a telephone number. And this was a question raised in Parliament by an MP. In India, we are not able to get the telephones. For that, the Minister of Telecom said, telephone is a luxury in India. If you want, you wait or you take back your application. For that, MP said, I already wait for 5 years, I wait for another 3 years. Assume that you are starting an export-import business in 1970s. Telephone number is a mandatory one. So what do you do next? Telephone is a mandatory one, correct? Can you wait for 8 years to start a business because there is no telephone number? So the next thing you do is find a right person, give the money, move your application in front and get the telephone number, correct? My question is, right now, can BSNL do like that? Wait for 8 years, I'll give you a mobile number, means what will happen is, we'll see that, okay, you have it, we have so many choices, correct? Because of private players, you can see that competition has increased and corruption is eliminated. Okay. Third one is integrity pact. Third one is integrity pact. Integrity pact. It should be mandatory. Integrity pact. It should be mandatory to sign integrity pact. Sign integrity pact with the companies providing goods and services to the government. The pact, that is integrity pact. The pact ensures the companies will not involve. The pact ensures companies will not involve in malpractices, corruption, to gain government contracts. Example, defense deals. To understand what this integrity pact and defense deal is, you know that most of the time when you go for defense deal, that always results in corruption, correct? What is the last corruption case in defense deals? Anyone able to remember? Okay, don't say Rafael. Rafael is not a corruption charge. It's an allegation. Okay. I don't know how many of you are able to remember this VVIP chopper. That was the time of Congress. So, Indian defense forces were buying these choppers, helicopters for VIP transports. And how they found out it was a corruption is, while designing the tenders, one company, Augusta Westland, corrupted the official to have specification match with that particular helicopter. Can you understand the point? Ultimately, what happens once a tender is called? Because of specification. Specification means the specification says that the height of the chopper within this ceiling should be around 9 feet. And only that particular chopper satisfies that conditions. Other choppers will be not in that height, correct? Can you understand the point? So corruption was involved. That company identified the people who was designing the tenders. They gave the money to them. So ultimately that resulted in VIP choppers resulting in corruption, correct? And one of the important personality in that was Air Force Chief during the time. Air Force Chief of India was the person responsible for designing the tenders. An interesting name of that personality was Tyagi. Okay. He was involving in all the corruption aspects. Okay. So this was the last case of VVIP chopper charges. Okay. And next one is role of media. Role of media. How media need to play an active role in controlling corruption? Because what drives media? One is in electronic media, it's TRB. And most of the time when you go for print media and all, what they always try to do is, they always go for sensitizing informations, correct? So down the point is role of media. Media need to provide the necessary space for newses, regarding corruption, to publish follow-up newses, publish follow-up newses regarding corruption in the society. Next. Media, next point, media need to encourage ethics in the society by highlighting the positive impacts. Highlighting the positive impacts. Next, vigilance network. Last one, vigilance network. To create nationwide online database. Nationwide online database regarding corruption cases, judgments delivered, cases in trial, photographs of people involving in corruption. Photographs of people involving in corruption. Media, I'll repeat it. Just go through what is corruption right from the first. I'll repeat media point, first one. Media need to provide the necessary space for newses regarding corruption, follow-up news regarding corruption. Okay, just go through this. What is the idea of corruption? Any clarification? It just ask me. What is asymmetrical power distribution is? Right now, if you take a society, I'll give the example of rural India. If you take rural India, it's always dominated by government. So ultimately what happens is, as there is no other players, government officials in rural India knows that whatever you do to the people, they need to come back to them only. So ultimately what happens, they involve in corruption. Assume that there's a primary health center in a village. Once you go for that primary health center, a person in that, for example, nurse says that give me 100 rupees. What you need to do is ultimately, because you doesn't have any other hospitals there. So ultimately what happens, you give 100 rupees to get the public services. That is called asymmetrical power. So rural India is a good example, dominated by government, like health, education, or economic opportunities entirely dominated by the government. Okay. So vigilance network to create nationwide database regarding corruption cases, judgments delivered, trial of corruption cases, photographs of people involving in corruption. So there's a two interesting story about corruption in India. If you take corruption, they always say these two stories. So one is imaginative story and another one is real story. First is imaginative story. So once an Indian minister visited US and he met a senator. Who's the senator? Equivalent of India, who's the senator is? Senator is like MPs. Okay, which house we can equate senator to Indian MPs? Rajya Sabha, correct? And the senator took our minister to his home, and our minister was amazed by the wealth of senator. And he asked, how you generate this wealth? And for that, senator said that in the previous administration, I was a secretary. Secretary means similar to a minister. And he said, we go for the top of the building. Once they went, he said, this is my city. You can see a river there, and there's a bridge. while constructing the bridge, I corrupt the system. After 2 years, the senator came to India and our minister took him to his home. And senator was amazed by the wealth of a minister because India is a developing country and you have so much wealth, how you are able to generate it. For that, our minister said, we go for top of the building. And he said, this is my constituency. You can see a river. And while constructing the bridge, I corrupt the system. And the senator asked, where is the bridge? And he said, that is the bridge. So what you can understand from this news is? What you can understand from this news is? Please understand, all over the world, corruption is there. When they corrupt us, when they implement the project, if there is an extra money, they corrupt it. But in India, what happens? They corrupt it, and whenever there's extra money, they do the project. And this was said by our Prime Minister. If ₹1 is spent for a common man, can anyone say what is the money that reaches a common man? Approximate. If ₹1 is spent, what is the money reaches to a common man? They said that around 13 paisa reaches a common man. What about the remaining money? What about the remaining money? It is all resulting in leakages and corruption. So in India, corruption, the problem is the method of corruption. All over the world, corruption is there. But in India, the problem is when our project is being done, they corrupt the entire project. If there is any extra money, they do the project. That's the problem in India. That we can see from this fact. This is a fictional story, imaginative story. And our next one is real one. So can you say in our neighborhood, which country is well developed in our neighborhood? They got independence at the same time of India, but they are well developed. Can you say which countries are like that? China is a developing country. Please understand, as the problems what we are facing, China is also facing the problem. Can anyone say which is the country in our neighborhood got independence at the same time of India, well developed? Sri Lanka, no. Bhutan have a different way. Even Bhutan has a problem, right? Is that Singapore? Singapore got independence at the same time of India, but they are well developed. One of the reasons for their development is the society is highly ethical society. What is highly ethical society means? Who's a famous personality in Singapore? Anyone have an idea? You can use that as a quote of that personality in answer writing. Ethics, essay. Anyone have an idea? There's a personality called Lee Kuan Yew. He was the most famous personality across the world. Even to say that that personality is the role model for our Prime Minister, current Prime Minister, Lee Kuan Yew. And he made Singapore from a trading community to a well-developed economy. And understand the point. Singapore was once a British colony. One of the reasons is it's a highly ethical society. What does highly ethical society means? Once this Lee Kuan Yew came to know that one of the minister was involving in corruption. Minister of Urban Development or something was involving in corruption. He got the report of the corruption and he called the minister to his office and showed the report. So we have a report saying that you are involved in corruption. What's your answer for this? That minister resigned the office. Next day went to his home and committed suicide, writing a letter saying that I created a bad image for Singapore and the government. Can you understand the point? My question is, if the same thing happens in India, what will happen in India, correct? Okay, there will be no politician, correct? Every day there should be someone committing a suicide. Singapore is a highly ethical society. That's the reason they are well developed across the world. Apart from a lot of other factors are there. So this is a real story. Okay. So the next one is role of civil services. That's correct. Parliament will be empty. Okay. Next thing is role of civil services. Role of civil services in democracy. So can anyone say what is civil service means? So what the term civil service means? Right now you are aspiring to be a civil servant. What does civil service means? You can take any guess. What does civil service means? Service to? Civilian. Okay. It's like writing in our school or college days, correct? If they give a question, means what we'll do is we rewrite the question, correct? In different ways. So what is civil service means? Any idea? Your interpretation, what does civil service means? Serving people, service, seva, okay. General public. Can I know what civil service means? Civil service means officials other than military services, in the government is called civil service. It's called civil service. Next, sorry, unique characters. So unique characters. Right now you're preparing for civil services, correct? What's the unique character for this? Assume that you are an IAS or IPS. What's the unique character of you? Huh? Is it? Decision making. Okay, any other thing apart from this? What's the unique character of a civil servant? Leadership. Dynamic. Okay, then any other thing? Responsibility. Okay. For what? For a country or for the family? Okay, write down the points what the unique character is. First one is technically qualified personals. Technically qualified personals working for public welfare. Second one, political neutrality, comma, objectivity in professional life. Third, to act as communication channel, between government and citizen. So to understand what this point is that you have a grievance day in your collector's office. Grievance day. What is grievance day? Is every week, one day, people will come and see you and give you complaints, correct? That's called grievance day. This acts as a communication channel. You can identify in the particular district what are problems of the people, you pass on to that government. Okay. Act as a communication channel. The next one is to assist government in policy making, and implementation. Next, to preserve polity, democracy in the society. So can anyone say how civil servant play a role in protecting our democracy? Any idea? How civil servant is playing a role in protecting democracy? There is one basic exercise in democracy entirely depends upon civil service. What is that basic exercise? Without that, democracy cannot run. What are that basic exercises? Just common sense. Right now, take elections, correct? Who is responsible for elections in India? We have an election commission. Election commission depends upon, that is, government servants, correct? For example, police is dependent on it, correct? Similarly, for example, if election booths, who is occupying the election booths? Teachers, correct? All government servants, correct? So ultimately, you can see that protecting our democracy, every 5 years, smooth transfer of power depends upon civil servants. Okay. These are some of the unique characters. Okay. So today we'll start with this. Any clarifications or doubts? So political neutrality, objectivity in professional life. And today classes are over. They put a message that you have class until 7:30, correct? Session is by finishing off by 4:30. After that, you don't have a session. Okay. Any clarifications or any doubts? Just go through it. Online candidates, please note it. Session ends by 4:30. It's not until 7:30. Yo, you don't have a session until 7. Okay, we are finishing off by 4:30 itself. So any clarifications or doubts, please go through it. Any points need to be repeated. Any points to be repeated, any clarifications. So next class we'll discuss the answer writing, no issues. Okay, we'll do it. So Prevent Corruption Act, second point. Second point is to delete or scrap provision requiring head of department to act as witness. So when will the course will get end? When the classes started for you? Which month? June 12th. July. Okay. Any approximate timing they said finish off the classes? April 15th they finish off, right? Probably by the month of April, second week or third week, right? The institutional framework, what the point is, Lokpal need to be provided with constitutional status. Speeding up trials to establish fast track court for corruption cases. Okay, next. Unique character, first point is technically qualified personnel for public services, political neutrality and objectivity in professional life, to act as communication channel between government and citizens. Third one is to assist government in policy making and implementation. Okay. Civil service definition, officials other than military services in government. Officials other than military services in government. Okay. So any clarifications or doubts here offline? Okay then. You can leave. Thank you. Okay. So any clarifications? Okay. Can we wind off online candidates? Can we wind off the session? Okay, thank you. Online candidates. Liability of corrupt officials. Note it down. The corrupt activities of public servants resulting in loss of revenue or trust. Loss of revenue or trust for the government need to be held liable. Need to be held liable. The movable, immovable properties, bank accounts need to be frozen. Need to be frozen regarding corrupt officials. What is collusive corruption? Collusive corruption is win-win situation. Win-win situation for political class, civil servants, and business class. So you have offline test, no issues. You'll have an offline test. Yeah. Okay, then can you wind off? If you put yes, we can wind off. Okay, thank you. We'll meet in the next class.